brother. That's my note.
Yeah. And I've got some couple data bits saved and like transfer numbers and net spend and all that stuff if we want to look
See,
at
you
that.
do homework. I just click go live and we go live.
Yeah, I'm a teacher, so I like it's ingrained.
Yeah, I'm
I
in marketing, so I just
do
make it up as I
homework.
go along. That's what we
There
do.
you go.
That's how it works. That's pretty much how it works. Anyway, for all of you who are tuning in, welcome to American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. Boss Man's checking in with us tonight because everybody else abandoned me except for Costa. So yeah, Selly's in college now, so he's busy on Wednesday nights apparently. So
He'll be on later.
he did say he'd come on later. Yeah, he'll come on later. So I'm just giving him a hard time. You know, Sally and I have done a lot of shows together. I love doing shows with Sally.
Yeah.
So this is our tribute to Grady episode. Today it's funny. I said the first thing I said to Tim before we got on was today was a bad day, and Tim disagreed. We'll get to that in a minute. But here he is. All right, here's my surprise guest. I just invited him via Twitter. It's Charles. Is that Charlie Walsh's music? No, because he's muted. You can't hear his music. There it is.
I just thought I'd give a quick dab on the haters. Do you know what I mean? Just hello.
They're still gonna hate.
What's up, sexy?
So as I was saying, I've got to go through all our stuff before we start. If you want to be on our show, let us know. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know all the other ones I don't use because I'm too old. If you haven't checked out our website, AmericanHammers.net, a lot of cool stuff there. Got the flag. Still, it's hard to point. You're going the wrong way. I've got the flag. Tim's got the T-shirt. I wore my Merrimack Valley Hammers shirt yesterday, so it's in the dirty clothes. But and this is week number 3 in a row of my new Antonio shirt here that I bought at the end of the season. But I've washed it, so don't worry. Yeah, there you go. More American Hammer stuff. So please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, you need to do that.
I know.
Because we do so much stuff on this channel. You could watch this. It's like a true network. You could watch it pretty much every night. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great shows and
a lot more coming.
And more coming.
That's why I changed my Twitter handle from AHTV to AHN.
Yes,
because it's a network. It is more than just
the
TV.
Radios. I think the podcast is coming back at some point.
Podcast coming back soon.
Yeah, and they're tweeting now too, so they're back on that. Yeah. But as far as the TV goes, we have tons of stuff coming up, tons of stuff. So, and we're recruiting new people all the time to be on. So, anyway, so. Today is, of course, a day that will live in infamy for West Ham. I woke up this morning expecting nothing but the usual crap. And instead today we got a gigantic pile of steaming crap, still more like flaming. Today was like the 2020 of days, just sort of fell apart and got worse and worse and worse and worse. So even though the deal is not maybe 100% official, we have evidently sold Grady Diangana to West Brom for either 12 million pounds or 18 million pounds. Nobody knows. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened yet, so we don't know the total price anyway. I think we all know that Grady. And by the way, you can't really see the background on this very well, but if you could, you'd notice that we have Grady in the back. I'll just pull up a picture. I'll pull up a picture. There you go. Now, you guys have no idea who that is, of course, because you're all too young. And Charlie, you're not even American. That was Fred Sanford's best friend on Sanford and Son, which was a great TV show in the 70s. It was a takeoff on an English show called Steptoe and Son, actually. But the great Red Fox, Damon Wilson, and then there was Grady, who was Fred's best friend. So this is our tribute to Grady and our tribute to Grady Diangana together. But, yeah, we sold him, evidently, or we want to sell him. I think we all were excited about this guy. I think we saw him perform well in the preseason. I think we saw him have a fantastic season at West Brom. There is so much to unpack here for me, all right? And I don't even really know where to start, but I think I want to start with maybe some conspiracy theories, okay, as to why this happened. There's a lot, all right? So this guy, Saltgrass, Salt Block. Yeah, we're with you, Darren. We're with you, Darren. Yeah, Salt Block, Salt Lick. When I was a kid and my grandmother had cattle at the farm, she would put out these big blocks of salt for them to lick, and they were called salt licks, and they would The cat will come up and lick them for Anyway, yeah, we're definitely GSB out. There's no doubt about that. This guy Saltgrass is Diangana's. No, he's Benihana's agent. He's Benihana's agent. This guy we're going to buy from, right? This guy we're going to buy. This Benihana guy, right? The left wing we're going to buy to replace Grady. Okay. Saltgrass is his agent, okay? And he's like David Sullivan's best buddy. Anytime he sells a player, David Sullivan's like, well, I got to have some of that. So one of the conspiracy theories is we sold Grady so that Sullivan could pay Salthouse, what is his name? Salthouse?
You got it right. That's the first time.
Okay, so one of the theories is that, I used to be a reporter. One of the theories is that we paid so we could pay Salthouse for this player because it's Sullivan's best buddy. And I'm not going to speculate as to whether Sullivan does something like, I don't know, get a kickback from agents. I mean, who would say something like that? That would be an outrageous accusation to make. But
Hawkins was saying it today on Clarendon Blue TV.
Well, I mean, how could he take such liberties?
And on his own channel.
How could Nicky Hawkins take such liberties? No, I mean, obviously, David Sullivan is nothing if not completely dodgy, shifty, and whatever other word you want to use. So there's that conspiracy theory. But you really have to think. Why are we selling a left wing? Well, generally, I think he plays on the left, but a winger anyway, who was going to step into a position of need because we never found anybody to play on the left last season. We kept sticking Fornals out there. Anderson's a zombie. This is a position we need. We need a left wing and a left back. Why are we selling him to bring in basically the same player in Ben Rama, whatever his name is?
You got that right.
Why did we do this? I got it right for once.
You're on a roll. You're on a roll. It's a beautiful thing.
I did my homework tonight before we came on. Yeah, it's true. What's funny is I do these shows absolutely sober. That's probably the problem. If I've had a few belts before the broadcast, I'd be a lot better off. So tell me what you guys think. I mean, does it make any sense? Is it a conspiracy theory? Is it Sullivan wants to line his own pockets, his buddies' pockets? What's going on here? Do you believe in all that stuff? I kind of do, but what do you guys think?
I'll go last.
I mean, X pretty much confirmed that Salthouse is involved in both deals. So Diangana might not have Salthouse as his agent, but X implied. I listened to the podcast as soon as it came out. I was like waiting for it.
Yeah, everybody did.
I feel like it was probably one of the most downloaded episodes because of how just fuming everybody was, and then they wanted some good news, and he didn't really give it. But he implied that Salthouse could be an intermediary on the Diangana deal, so that Salthouse is somehow involved in both deals. Financially, you think that it makes sense in some way, but the wages are going to be much higher for Benihana.
Of course
they are for
yeah. That's what I keep calling him that too. No, that's what he is to me.
I love
and
that.
Then the transfer fee has to be higher than the total that we got for Diangana. So even if you got a maximum of 20 million, I'm thinking it's probably really more like 15 or something because the number is so scattered. But let's say that we actually got 20. First off, we know how transfer deals work. They don't give us the full 20 right away. They're going to give us at most 12 right away.
We know how that works. We know you don't pay it all right away. We know that for sure.
Right, and so
this is where Saltgrass comes from. Okay, this is a chain of steakhouses in Texas. So I'm not totally making this stuff.
Lee, how many tabs have you got open, my G? What's going on here? What is tabbing?
It's not that bad. I've seen far worse.
There's no porn. There's no porn at the moment. I'll go through them. You got Gmail. This is my text.
I don't know. It says the Zoo porn.
The Zoo is a radio station out of Dallas that existed when I was a kid and is now.
Are you listening to the Yeah Yeah Yeahs?
Oh, my friend, I only listen to music that's made by dead people.
Oh,
I mean,
is it one of
Joni Mitchell? No? There you go.
Joni Mitchell. Well, that's a little unusual for them, but they're going soft tonight because it's the evening. But yeah, I usually won't listen to anything that's made in the last 40 years, unless I do like a bit of death metal. Tim thinks that's not true, but it is true.
I know. I'm like, the fuck?
No, I know you don't believe it, but it's true. It's true.
Man. No, that's awesome.
I have an access to a whole server that I no longer have access to, but I used to. Anyway. So yeah. Anyway, so where were we talking about Salthouse?
That was a diversion.
Brick shithouse. Yeah.
So, yes, I can imagine. Well, Gold is the one who deals in dildos. Sullivan was the one who had that was part of his productions back when he was a pornographer.
He was basically a pimp.
He was. Yeah, basically. So we've sold a player evidently to buy another player for more money to play the same position. I mean, and a player, not only a player, but a player everybody seemed to be excited about, seemed to like. You look at it in the preseason. West Ham, as everybody knows by now, the club put up, I think it was on Facebook, yesterday, a picture of Bowen with a picture of Diangana and said, looking forward to a lot more from these two. This was yesterday, all right? Moyes evidently did not want to sell. Hey, it's Ray. What's going on, Ray? How you doing? What's going on?
Oh, just at work. Don't tell the bosses.
You are the boss. I know that. I know that much. How's your floor? You got your floor redone in the bar, right?
Yeah. I've been up all night doing my floor in the bar. You know, looks good. So,
Is it slippery? Is people going to walk in there and slide around like a slip and slide when they go in there?
See, it takes 24 hours to dry. So we've got 2 floors. This is DIY show now, and I've painted the ground floor. So we've put everyone up on the first floor, and some of my staff have still walked on the floor. So I've got to repaint it next week.
You got to repaint it next week? Okay, so 24 hours to dry is the same for my hair and beard. 24 hours to dry. So it's pretty much a constant process. Anyway, so
Charlie, what are you doing?
Selly just told me he's still in class, and he said it won't be too much longer. Well, you know what? That's cool, Selly. Appreciate you letting me know. Selly's he's at the University of Colorado, not listening to his lecture. He's sending me a message saying, "I'll be on. I'll be on a little bit." I appreciate that. Anyway, so we were just talking about the obvious topic, Ray. So Moyes didn't want to sell Diangana apparently, and Diangana didn't. We've heard he didn't want to go. Now who knows? You can't read the man's mind, and you get all sorts of different takes on that. X said he didn't want to go. I don't know how X knows that. All right, I mean X knows a lot of stuff. I don't know if I trust him. But look at this! It's a party.
He was really hesitant about confirming that, though.
Well,
if you listen to his tone, he's happy to tell you that Diangana doesn't want to leave, but he doesn't literally say, "Well, Moyes wants Diangana to leave," because I think Moyes is on the fence, and I think Moyes wants money some way to make this team his a little bit more. But the problem is, it's going to go to Benrahma. And I don't care who you put at left mid. You could put Pele at left mid. Pele's going to have trouble with Cresswell and Masuaku behind him. Absolutely. And so, to me, it's ridiculous to go and spend it on the same position. I think that's what we were about to
Everybody knew going into this window that our number one priority was left back, right? Ben Johnson looks like a good right back. We may need cover for him, but he looks like a good right back. I know he can play on the left a little bit, but you've got to have another fullback. All right, everybody knows you have to have a fullback. There's nobody questioned this. So okay, you don't think so? I mean,
no, did David Moyes come out and say that was his number one priority, left back?
I have no idea what he came out and said.
Or is it logic? That's what I'm saying.
He says
I can't understand what he says. He's Scottish, but it's logic. It's logic.
I understand what we all want.
He says the defense because he doesn't want to be too specific.
He says the defense because listen, he can't call out Cresswell and say
exactly.
You sucked last season and you suck because he may have to put him at left back again this season. No, he may have to. He can't. If you can't say we have a total liability at left back because you got 2 players you may have to put in that position at some point. So he said he wanted to strengthen the defense. He did say that he wanted to strengthen the defense. I mean, I don't think it takes
his
a super
so far have been right backs. If you notice, Matty Cash, the fucking idiot from Italy. The black guy.
Well, you can move Johnson to the left potentially, but the point is we need a fullback. All right, and I think it would make sense for him to want to recruit a left back, but our priority is a fullback. And what have we done? We've sold a promising young, generally left wing player to bring in the same type of player. It doesn't address our need at all. It doesn't address our need. It doesn't even make sense. It purely feels like a David Sullivan, money grab where he's getting some sort of kickback from this deal. I can't make that accusation without proof, obviously. But if you looked at this, if there were an investigator into transfers like this, if you were to take somebody who was an investigator from any organization you want, law enforcement, anything you want to talk about, honestly, what would somebody say? This looks dirty. This looks corrupt. That's what it looks like. It doesn't make any sense. How do you make sense of it? Can you guys make sense of it?
I don't think it is. Look, here's the thing, right? And I know everyone is ripe for a pitchfork and fire right now and ready to have a fight. But like, I honestly don't think there's anything dirty about it. I think it's just plain incompetence. See, Ray's ready. He's ready to roll down to London and start a show.
Right. Now, this is it's true that usually conspiracy theories are not true because people aren't smart enough to pull off conspiracies, right? So that's why they tend not to be true. But it's usually people doing stupid things. But this is incompetence. I mean, Charlie, even for David Sullivan, this is a big one.
Well, one thing I could even add to the whole incompetence thing is one thing I was thinking about talking about was, the fact that I think legitimately every single move that's going on right now is between the Three Stooges. And I say that to say, obviously we got rid of Diangana after your club record signing said publicly that he was looking forward to playing with him.
Right.
And then, you don't
so did
tell
Declan
him.
Rice, by the way, the player we so desperately want to keep.
Right, yeah. So you have two of your biggest name players who are like, oh, it's exciting. And he was involved in all the goals at Ipswich. Whatever the case. And then not only that, but West Ham Twitter was posting nothing but Diangana pictures, like looking forward to the future, this and that and the other.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I woke up this morning with so many messages on Twitter about Diangana being out.
There's no communication. There's no communication.
And that's why
right. And that's my thing. That's the incompetence is there is no communication because one, they don't tell the social media guy, hey,
exactly.
Exactly.
And then two, we
There's
could
no
tell Diangana, hey, right. Yeah, it's like, hey, you may or may not be here by the time the season starts, but just so he knows.
But the thing is that no one on the communication team could imagine us selling a young, promising player. So, of course, they're posting pictures of him and Bowen because you can't imagine letting go of either. It just doesn't make any sense in their heads. And then you tell them last minute. So, of course, there's a Instagram post from last night or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Literally yesterday.
It means they pulled the rug out from under everybody, right? It wasn't just Moyes; it was everybody. I mean, Sullivan seems to have gone and just done this on his own.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he had to get permission from Karen Brady. I think she probably hasn't by the short hairs most of the time. But the point is, we're posting pictures of Diangana, yesterday. Moyes, I mean, again, he's a bit of a dour Scot. I don't think he's in a position to express a lot of anger or shock, but he seemed not to want Diangana to go. I don't think it was his idea to sell him. This seems to be something that the board just went and did. Absolutely out from underneath everybody. No consultation with anybody. Of course, it's their club, and they bought it and they have the right to do it. But it doesn't seem like anywhere to run a club.
One thing I found interesting today too, I was watching some of the reactions from the West Ham Fan TV guys. And one of them was mentioning that, the fact that at the end of the day, the contract or the money for Diangana could be up to, £16 million?
16 or 18.
And the fact that Eze was sold for £18 million.
Dude, that's night and fucking day, dude. Two totally different players. Dude, that Eze, Easy E, whatever you want to call him, he's like fucking light years above Diangana.
No. Let's put this into perspective, okay? He's not more experienced because Diangana's been playing first team football longer than him. Eze's been around for like 18 months max, right? Two, Diangana's got Premier League experience, which Eze doesn't have.
10 games.
No. Listen. I'm not done. And three, Eze had 1 year left on his contract. Diangana was contracted to 2024 or something?
Yeah.
When you're talking about it's night and day, it is. Diangana should have cost significantly more money than Eze should. And I think Eze is a better footballer. I'm not sitting here and saying I think Diangana is as good as Eze. I think it's by the by. I think Eze's a more exciting footballer. He's younger. He's got more. Some things can hate you say he's got more potential or whatever. But Diangana should just cost more money than Eze. That's not even the fact that Eze went for more is QPR needed to sell him. They're a championship club. They don't have the position to do it, and yet all of a sudden we let him go. Flipping Eze wanted to go. I know maybe he didn't want to leave in like a Dimitri Payet, I'm off, guys. See you later style. Not that kind of leave, but he clearly was like.
And even if you want to just put it to the championship level, Diangana helped this club get promoted.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
the comparison's not really there.
We don't seem to give clubs time to bid. Eze had 3 or 4 clubs after him. Okay. And we seem to sell players right away. Oh, first bid, 20 mil sounds good. Okay, he's gone.
Right.
Like, can you imagine if it was known for a while and he was on the market and other clubs could have come in for him, then maybe we're talking 25 million. Because I imagine there's 5, 6, 7 teams that would gladly bid for him. But we sell right away. We're like a kid in a candy store. Oh, I want that one. Like right away. And it's all comes from the top. It's all one person's doing at the end of the day, right? It's not mismanagement on like a gross scale. It's just a couple people who are making these awful choices.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I can anybody, if you guys can help me find a silver lining here, please do. Now, and what I mean is in terms of how it will affect the club's performance this season. Is there anything positive that's going to come out of this? Okay, maybe we end up with Benihana. Maybe he's a good player. I don't really, honestly, I don't know. I haven't really watched him that much. Let's be honest. But I mean, what's the upside for West Ham in this deal? I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out.
Well, there's no upside. Like, we're giving away a youth player on a youth contract. It's not going to be on much money, and they're going to want to spend it all on another player that's going to cost us twice as much.
Or they're going to want to spend part of it on paying off Sebastian Haller, which they've still never done.
Yeah, I would understand it. They got rid of Lanzini or Wilshere.
Yeah,
or
totally.
Even Fornals. That position is overcrowded. Even Snodgrass, I can understand it. That centre is overcrowded. There's too many players. Right? Getting rid of a youth academy player has fucked off the whole West Ham fan base. I don't see anyone that's agreed to say that it was a great deal. It's a stupid deal. It's short-sighted. This is someone that's got potential to push Anderson and make him a better player, because Anderson's been crap because he's not getting any challenges. He's not getting any love. If this was Moyes, he has to be got rid of. If this was the board, fuck them off. I'm actually to the point, I didn't really care before whether board in, board out, and all that sort of shit. I just thought, all right, here's what it is. We'll just move on. Now, if they're ruining the academy, the next generation of players coming through our ranks, they've got to go because they're not building for the future. They're building for their pockets.
That's exactly my point. Because of people like you and everybody else who all of a sudden came out and said, you know what? I'm this too. Like, this is the best thing that could have fucking happened to us. Them fucking selling Diangana. You see the fucking unity, man, of the fucking the West Ham fans. Even all the piss hands that were like, "Oh no, David Moyes is a king," or you have faith. Oh, have faith in the club. It's okay. Why are you so fucking negative all the time? This is why we're fucking negative, and a million other fucking reasons. But now all of a sudden, everybody's getting together because of this shit. This is what fucking just recently sparked it, and now everybody's ass is on fire. We're all fucking ready to kill. Like, I'm telling you, dude, like, this is awesome. Like, I'm glad if they didn't fuck up and sell or at least accept the bid for Diangana, then it should have been the same old 5 fucking hashtags a day, GSBO. That's it. No one would give a shit. They'd be like, oh yeah, you guys just fucking protest if you want. Who gives a shit? Blah blah blah. But no, everybody's fucking amped now. Amped. You saw fucking Twitter today. Holy goddamn shit.
Yeah, wow. Number 1 trending topic on Twitter in England.
That's what I'm saying, dude. So that wouldn't have happened if they didn't pull this shit. So I'm fucking glad. And you say we're not overcrowded, and I mean, dude, I think we're fucking overcrowded in that position. We do have Anderson. We spent a fuck ton of money on him. We need to fucking we got him. Okay, like that's fine. Like listen. Nobody wants Lanzini. Nobody wants Wilshere. Nobody wants these other fucking players you were talking. Even Snodgrass. We want Snodgrass because we love him. But that's it. Nobody else loves him. Nobody else wants him. We're not going to get any money for him anyway. So the fact that we get, I mean, hopefully it's 18 million and not 12 million. But if we get 18 million for Diangana, I'm taking the positives out of this. I mean, yes, fuck GSB, and yes, it brought it together. And go ahead.
You're talking. I'm sorry, but you're talking about positives among fans, and I'm with you on that. You and I talked about this before we started.
Yeah.
The positive is it has united the fans in a way that I haven't seen in a long time. And I know we only deal with this on social media, so you're only talking about a slice of the fans, right? It's not everybody.
Yeah.
But I will say, and I think Baz talked about this, Clareton Blue Army talked about this. I know we talked about it on Twitter. I haven't watched his show yet, but I've seen a lot of people say this, that this is the first time in a long time. Today was the first time in a long time that there seemed to be unity among West Ham supporters, and also a real sort of anger that has kind of bound us together. There's no more indifference. There's no more, well, they're doing the best they can. There's a real, as you said, there's a real fire under us now. And I think that may be the best thing that comes out of this. The problem is that doesn't keep us up. Angry fans don't score goals. Angry fans don't supply crosses. Angry fans, can't buy the club and kick the board out. It's theirs until they decide to sell. And if this were an American sports franchise, I would say don't go to the games. Well, can't go anyway right now, but I would say don't buy the merchandise. I would say intentionally do not buy from the advertisers who sponsor the team on TV. Stage a boycott, all right? Because you can do that here in this country, because you're not going to, if you're mad at the Cincinnati Bengals, they're not going to drop out of the NFL if you boycott them. If you get mad at West Ham United and you decide I'm not going to, buy tickets, I'm not going to buy merchandise, etc., we get relegated, and then it's a big problem. That's when we really have a problem, because we won't come back up for a long, long time if we go down.
I disagree. And here's
the
thing,
thing.
Right?
Tell me why.
Because here's the thing: I got rid of my season ticket this year. Okay, yeah. And I haven't spent any money in the club shop in years because of this.
Don't spend money in the club shop at all.
No, I don't. But I don't mind people spending money in the club shop. But ultimately, the way I looked at it is this, and I said this. I think I even said it to Ray when we were talking about it once. A, it's vote with your wallet, and B, I feel kind of like on a personal level, almost, I don't want to say fraudulent, but if I'm sat here dissing and cussing the board for all of this stuff, and then just going, but here's my 30 quid to go and watch us draw 0-0 to Burnley on a Wednesday night, what does that say? Like, they look at it and they see the bottom line and they go, well, it's here. Let's be real, right, with the board. They care about two things, right? One of it is money. That's the thing they care about most. And the second thing is media attention. They're the two things they care about most. They couldn't give two shits if all 60,000 fans who were inside that ground were stood outside the car park shouting at them if Sky Sports didn't talk about it. If Sky Sports didn't talk about it, they'd be fine with it. They just roll in their Rolls Royce, they go sit in the thing, they get the money, they come back, they go, whatever. They don't care. Like, that's the thing. So, like, the good thing about today, and I don't think today's been a good day. I think it's been a horrendous day, and I don't think the unification of like people getting together is
mad all day. I'm literally mad.
I know it would ruin the day. I mean, that wasn't going to be a great day anyway, but it's made it even worse.
What's beautiful is after I deleted my West Ham Twitter account, the only reason I knew about it is because it was trending. I was scrolling my normal Twitter account, just looking at pictures of dogs and wrestlers and all the other stupid stuff I do, and then I see GSB out #1 trending. I was like, hang on a second, what's going on here? The good thing is that Sky Sports were talking about it. That's the real win. Like, we can talk about how unified the fans are, and to be honest with you, I don't think they're going to stay unified for long, because the way West Ham United fans work is like this. We've just got enough money to go and sign one player. The second that player gets signed, a percentage of people, as much as they're angry now, will drop off that bandwagon. 100%, because it's just the way it goes. Because ultimately, people get excited by the prospect of a new signing, and they get hyped, and then the football happens, and if we win a match, then it starts to dissipate again and again and again. If anything, this has come for the right time at the board, because there's not fans there to make it a spectacle for TV cameras. So it's come at the right time for them in a sense, because it means it doesn't really matter how angry we are, because they can't go to the ground and fuck it up anyway, right?
Yeah.
The benefit is that Sky Sports actually spoke about it. I saw Sky Sports News talking about it today. That's massive, because it's not even reached the zenith like it did at Burnley yet, and they're already talking about it. That's the real win.
Yeah, but Joe, what is
now they get rid of? Sorry, if they get rid of Rice now, that before
they're done for.
With Rice, I think a lot of fans would have understood.
There'll be literal pitchforks and fire at their doorstep.
Yeah.
Well, another big issue too with everything going on, talk about incompetency from earlier, is all the players that we've sold on the cheap,
Absolutely.
for like much cheaper than what they should have been, and the thing that's unfortunate is, 2 out of those 3 players, I think people were genuinely excited to watch. Obviously, Big George was one, and then Diangana being the other. Ajeti, just unfortunate circumstances for him never getting a chance. I would have loved to see him play, but it is what it is when it comes to him. But, you look at all the players that we've let go, and even two of them in positions of need, strikers. Like we have one striker. If you like Silva, then we have two. If you don't, then we have one. But, none of the business that has happened has gone to strengthen areas of need, and everybody that we've, got major steam with coming in is like some old dude on a free. Like Mario Götze would have been a great signing 5 years ago.
Right.
But it's just the same as bringing in, what's his name from 2 years ago?
Nasri.
It's like Joe Hart. It's like
Andy
Joe
Carroll
Hart.
even.
Exactly.
It's a glory signing. And it's almost as if Sullivan has no appreciation for depreciation of players. And it's just the name. The name is what turns him on. And you can kind of tell that the man used to produce pornography when you see how he manages a football club. Because he mistreats us, he abuses us, he goes for things that are flashy but superficial, and it's an absolute nightmare. And we feel like someone who's been part of that industry for a decade, because that's how long they've been with us. Now we feel abused and we want to get out. Like it's very similar.
But let me just say something else. So it's a good metaphor, Kostya, because also, just like porn, people will watch football no matter what.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't. That's what it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be, listen. I mean, my editorial comment is that the porn industry is really exploitative and disgusting. But I think a lot of people feel that way. But you know what? It's also popular. It's not going away. And I think it's the same thing with West Ham. I mean, you have a subset of fans, vocal fans on social media, fans who do shows like this, who are angry, who are not renewing season tickets. I guarantee you when that stadium's open again, when it's fully open again, there'll be 60,000 people in there. There will always be 60,000 people in there because there are, I don't know how many West Ham fans are there in London. Maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't even think that's an exaggeration. I think it's fan in terms of fan base. Look at what we have here.
Have as much as nearly all the other London clubs, that's for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Look at what we have with the people we've talked to all over the world. We got a couple thousand people who subscribe to an American West Ham YouTube show. It's not many clubs can pull that sort of thing off. So, the problem I think is that you're in a trap because people are going to watch this stuff no matter what. They're going to go to the matches. They're going to watch it on Sky. They're going to buy from the advertisers. That's where the money comes from. And two, if you say I'm going to boycott, okay, good, great. I mean, that's great. You take money out of their pockets, and you guarantee that you're going to send us down. Because
I disagree because the money is there. Ultimately, this is why I say it's fine. This is why I say you have to not spend money on them, right? Or why I justify it to myself. Because we don't fucking matter. It's the television money that matters.
It's the money that matters.
We don't sell enough merchandising to make it significant. It's not nothing. Don't get me wrong, and every little helps.
But it's not compared to the TV money.
Yeah. As a poor person, trust me, I understand how every little helps. I've got £1 all over the shop because, bruv, this is my money, right? But it's not a big enough. It's not a big enough revenue stream to where it happens. Brady said it herself many, many times, and that's just the truth. That's why That's why you get the European Super League happening, because they want to nail down having that European money for TV money all of the time. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. That is my philosophy on life. So it is a case where you can just get rid of you can just not do it. Like the thing is, right, is like me, right? Like the big difference I think before with this idea of fans will still go to games, because they will. We know people, like for example, we all know Jazz. Jazz is an incredibly lovely man whose wife apparently makes amazing curry. I don't know this. She's not giving me any Jazz. We need to talk about this, but it's the thing, right? He's renewed this season ticket, right? So he'll go back. But if you're in a position where you don't have the money, can you go back? And if this is the time to decide, because you have to remember, this is usually the time of year where we start to get linked to all the big names, because that's how they get people excited to go and renew their season tickets. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we're selling the names people are excited for. It's not the same world anymore. It's not the same world anymore. And I think it's insane that they've done it right now, because I don't think this bid just came in today. I don't think this bid came in today and then they went, oh well.
I don't think.
Oh, no! I disagree.
No.
I disagree. He jumps on the first bid and he takes it right away because he sees it's like the cartoon. He has dollar signs in his eyes and he's just blinded by that. And he goes, "Yeah, okay, 20 minutes. Oh, okay, I'll take it."
If it was bigger,
there's no negotiation. There's no negotiation. There's no bidding war.
If it was bigger, I would agree with you. If it was 20 million, then I think you're exactly right. I think he'd go, oh, obviously. But 12 million up front? No.
It's not 12.
No,
I don't think it's 12.
It's 12 rising. It's 12 rising.
The reason that it was discussed was because there are so
18,
many incentives in the contract. That's a big reason why I think that it probably has been discussed more so than today, is because there's so much that can be added on in the future, which is, in my opinion, bad business, because, with somebody who, hasn't played a full Premier League season, hasn't had any England call-ups, a lot of this stuff, you're just kind of crossing your fingers like, okay, well, hopefully he reaches these milestones. So hopefully we get £1 million here, £1 million there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, granted, I think Diangana is going to be wonderful for West Brom, but at the same time, it's the incentive part is also bad business because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into like some of the numbers, like some of the real significant, important numbers that I have just happened to have pulled up?
Costa, I want to know where our money has gone.
That's it.
Are we that thin? Are we really that broke? Because, I understand the COVID thing hit everybody.
Got a chart here.
Yeah, the COVID thing hit everybody. We know that. And
that's
other clubs.
Yeah, stop thinking my show.
Well, it's on my phone. It's not a PowerPoint. It's from Twitter.
Other clubs not named Manchester City, Chelsea, etc., are out spending. And they're maybe not spending a lot, but they're Everton's buying players.
Leeds bought
players. They're spending. They're out there spending 18 and 20 million here and there, and I mean they're bringing players in. West Brom just spent between 12 and 18 million apparently. So how broke are we? Do we know? Has anybody figured this out?
I think they're taking money out of the club and pocketing it. That's the only explanation I can come up with when I look at the numbers.
I don't think we are broke. There's no way you get that much money from TV and have none of it left over for anything.
Thank you.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
And we missed how many home games? How many home games were there no fans? Like 4 or 5. There were 9 games to end the season.
Yeah, it was 5.
Half of them had. So you're talking about a 38 game season where you missed 5 games with fans. It's a hit. But as you said, Charlie, I mean, the real money's from TV. The real money's from TV. And it's not as though they missed a whole season full of fans filling the stadium. You're talking about 5 games, So I wonder, how are we this broke? Listen, I mean, I don't know, a lot about David Gold's background other than that he sells the lingerie and sex toys and so forth. That's fine. Sullivan's background is, I mean, it's sketchy, and it's not just because he was in porn. I mean, there's been a lot of things that have come out over the years about how he dodged taxes, how he did, little things here and there, the way these people do. It's never big enough to get him thrown into prison, but it's always something that, they're able to manipulate. I'm not making this stuff up. It's out there. I mean, you look it up if you want to. So, I mean, these are not people with a great reputation for ethics, and they basically killed Birmingham Football Club. So, or Birmingham City, I should say, Birmingham City Football Club. So, I mean, listen, it doesn't seem impossible at all to me that there's some sort of malfeasance going on here. I mean, it almost seems the only explanation.
He did spend 70.
Even Leeds are spending. Promoted.
He did spend
right.
He did spend 71 days in jail for prostitution in 1992.
And I know he's got a very rough. I mean, I know his. I think his first wife
solicitation.
His first wife was a porn star who committed suicide, and that's really awful. But I know there's more to it than that. There's legal issues that he's had. Even recently, I saw something about how he used the club to dodge paying a certain amount in taxes. That's about 5 years ago, I think that article came out. So, but I saw it not long ago. So my point is, this is not a squeaky clean guy. Do you know what I mean? There is smoke where there could be a fire. And when you look at a situation where he's buddies with this Salt House guy, he sells a player we don't want or need to sell. He's got this, he's got the Salthouse involved as the agent, so that we can bring in somebody else. It really feels like a textbook situation where the guy's getting a kickback or he's part of the deal somehow. Again, total speculation. I can't make that accusation without proof. But I mean,
I think that even raises a big issue too about who has the capacity to own clubs. Like in most American sports, if you're going to get a brand new owner, it has to be approved by other league owners.
That's
so
true.
like if you have somebody who has
I don't think it happens here. Yeah, you're right.
Oh
about
no,
that,
definitely not. Because you think about it, like Newcastle, they had to shut their stuff down just because the business of everything just sounded too much for them to take on. To where if the Sikhs did move in, that probably wouldn't have been good for them anyways. But you have somebody, granted, I don't know. I mean, it's just shady. Like if you have somebody shady coming in, why wouldn't they be shady while they're in? Oh,
of course they would. That's the thing. It's his whole background is shady. How he made his money, what he's done with it. It's pretty shady. Again, there's smoke here that could signal a fire. I mean, it's not as though this is somebody with a clean background, a good business reputation, who's coming in and making mistakes. This is just, this just feels like blatant. I don't know, corruption or whatever you want to use.
It feels like that. And there's this thing, right? What's the guy who wrote the Sherlock Holmes books? Someone remind me.
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Thank you, you two. Smarter than I, who can remember these things. There was something he once said.
Useless facts.
In relation to the character of Sherlock Holmes, it's something he once said, which was the idea of like once you eliminate all options, the only thing left is the answer, no matter how absurd that is, right? The thing is, you can't eliminate them just being fucking idiots. I don't want to be that harsh about it, but that's just kind of the thing. And like when you put together an entire picture of their time at West Ham United, it's just stupidity.
But you know what, Charlie? I mean, I'm with you, and I'm usually not a conspiracy guy. All right, and I understand what you're saying. And usually, it's just people being stupid. That's Occam's razor. That's the best answer. The obvious answer is people being stupid.
Yeah,
the guy's a billionaire. All right, or at least supposedly.
Allegedly.
All right, but the point is, he's wealthy. Okay, he's very wealthy. Let's say. Listen, I used to work for a guy who was worth about $100 million. All right, and that's supposedly about a tenth of, or it's like a tenth of what Sullivan's supposed to be worth. And this guy was, he was kind of a dick, but he was very, very smart. And he had all the money he could ever need. And my point is, if you've amassed $1 billion, even $500 million, you can't be a total moron.
It's true, but I guess one of the differences I would make would be saying, I guess the question, that's getting into weeds that I don't need to get into. They haven't made their money in football. They've lost money in football.
They have lost money, and they destroyed Birmingham City.
Football is a stupid business to get into, regardless, because football is where you can make money in. But
it is. Sports, you make money in sports. We don't make money in sports, not usually.
Are they actually losing money? Or are they making it look like they're losing money and pocketing it? Because the numbers would suggest that we have a profit over the last 5 years.
You're missing it, right? Because here's the thing. When you talk about them being worth $1 billion, for example, like Sullivan is worth £1 billion.
Well, it's not. You can't go to the ATM and withdraw £1 billion. Yeah.
Let's just say, for sake of argument, he is worth £1 billion, as you say, and a lot of that is assets. So it'll be all the houses he owns and all this other sort of nonsense that he has, property businesses, blah 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 blah. West Ham is part of that. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing is, we can talk about these conspiracy theories about him pocketing the money and everything. He's not smart enough. He's too stupid to figure these things out. The thing is when you look at the Will Salthouse stuff, how often do you hear about, say, a friendship group? I've had it with certain friends of mine that I'm no longer friends with for those reasons, who are like people who are sort of always in the back of your ear, like talking about other people, like, oh, this, that, and the other. Oh, that person that he's a bit of a dickhead. Oh, he does this, he does this. If he's close friends with agents, which we know he is because he always has been, every single deal he makes is through agents. If he is this close to him, it's not absurd to think that Will Salthouse is the guy in the background, not pulling the strings like some sort of Machiavellian, but just being like, do you know what? Do you want to risk it with Diangana, or do you cash in and then get Ben and Rama, who's actually more experienced? Like, these are the sort of things that can happen over time. And again, because he's not he's not a football person. He hasn't got football intelligence at all. And like, I don't want to be harsh to him, but clearly he doesn't, because he's got 25 fucking years of proof showing that he's clearly not now up here for football.
Be harsh. We haven't said any. Believe me, the stuff other people have said is way worse than anybody said. Anybody said here. So,
but you look at it and you say, okay, in that case, it's just stupidity. He's not getting money from it. His payday is at the end of this, 2023, when he can sell the club. That's when his payday comes. Before then, the only way he gets paid is via the debt at the club. And that's why the debt never goes away, because he has no incentives to get rid of it. Because even if we still owe them 40, 50, 60, whatever million, when we sell the club, he's still going to get that money back because it's owed to him. That's the only way they get money from his club. And that's still not an acceptable thing. They should not be loaning the club money with interest. That should just not be a thing that happens, because that's insane.
It shouldn't be what an owner does. An owner should be the caretaker of the club. I'm not sure how else to put it. Should be in the do what's in the fiscal best interest of the club. You know what this reminds me of, Tim? A situation you and I were in a few years ago with the club that we had on a much smaller scale, but a very similar situation, where the owner steps in and says, "Oh yeah, I'm the owner now, but I'm not actually going to invest. I'm not actually going to we're not actually going to
incurring any previous debt. Nothing.
Right. Right. I just own because I say I own, So I understand the argument.
So I don't think they're siphoning money off. I don't think they're looking at it and they're seeing this Diangana, say it's 12 mil up front for sake of argument. I don't think they're looking at that and going, we can make a cool million off this. We can get million in the bank. No, I just think it's them going, okay, that means we can then buy a player without having to spend a single penny of our own money. And this is the thing that, like, when I saw Nicky's rant on West Ham Fan TV, the one thing that really spoke to me, and I think it's part of the reason why so many people are angry, is with the season ticket thing, they're essentially asking normal everyday people like me, like all of you, if any of you had season tickets or had the ability to because you were living in the UK,
right?
They're asking us to loan them money to go and do stuff.
Yes, they are.
You're a fucking billionaire, bruv. You have the money. Like Ray and me are probably in our overdrafts, right? So we can't go. I was about to say raising his overdraft, but I felt bad just outing your business like that. Raising his overdraft, I'm not, because I'm fiscally responsible human being.
Ray just got his floor done, so you got to, he's investing.
Well, he's doing bits. He's doing bits.
Yeah.
He's asking people like us to loan them money. That's what he's asking him to do. Whereas him living in his Essex mansion with all of his fucking property business and all this other stuff, he's worth £1 billion. Let's say 200 million of that is West Ham. Fine, he's worth 800 million pounds. Guess what? That's 800 million pounds that I'm probably ever going to earn in my entire life. And you're asking me to loan you money? Fuck off. No.
Well, you want to talk about conspiracies? One conspiracy that they were talking about on West Ham Fan TV today was that since he is so big in the properties, that he's probably even making money on the Upton Park development as well.
I don't know about that one.
To know that, but,
have you seen the numbers for that one? So the numbers for that one is that we sold it for 40 million, and then another company immediately flipped it for 60 million. So I don't know. If he is somehow involved with that second company as well?
Yeah, he wouldn't lose that money. He's not that stupid. Because listen,
the company that purchased Upton Park was created a couple months beforehand and has no other history of transactions. It's quite shady.
But it was made to. But that's not absurd. It's not absurd to see a company made specifically for one transaction deal that works. That's part of another thing. It was called Bolin Phoenix Limited for a reason. Mm-hmm. It was abundantly clear to be able to work on that transaction. They made the transaction and they've not existed since. Yeah. They've not done any transactions.
It's not unusual.
£5 of fucking income or whatever it was this year.
It still doesn't mean it's not shady though. It's not unusual. You're right, Charlie, but it could still be shady. One thing I want to ask Kostya is. So
Okay, guys. I'll see you later.
Oh, hey, thanks for coming on, Ray. It's good to see you, Ray.
Thanks for being here, Ray.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. One thing I want to ask you, Kostya, is so have you crunched some of these numbers and figured out where the money has gone? Because I don't entirely understand how we're constantly in debt, how we're broke. Mm-hmm. After we got the big TV, we stayed up, got the big TV payment. I mean, as Sam Ingersoll told us, the club had to sell to buy. All right, and Sam does his homework; he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
how is that possible?
So
I mean,
there's a lot of factors at work here. Something that Nikki Hawkins said today that I found very interesting is, I think it was Nikki, might have been Baz, but I'm not sure. One of the guys said it. I just watched it. I've watched a whole lot of content today.
I believe this, by the way.
And basically, we have taken out loans of 30 million pounds from like a loan shark, almost at a 7% interest. And he was comparing it to Spurs getting their interest on their stadium for 2%. And that we don't have a need to get that loan for 7%. We could also be getting it for 2% like Spurs, whatever transaction that is, and we're still doing that loan at 7% because we're friendly with the loan shark. And so that's one number that stands out to me right away where I'm like, what's going on here? I hate to bring this up, Charlie, but there was that whole thing about us overpaying for Jordan Hugel because maybe it was almost like David Moyes giving a favor to Preston North End and that conspiracy. So there's a lot of things that you can point out, but those are conspiracies. There are numbers that are actually available, right? So when you go to Transfer Market and you look at the last, you can get the last 5 years and you can get the total expenditures from every Premier League club. What it tells you is, yes, we've spent a lot of money, but we've really mismanaged our money because we're selling players for way less than they're worth. Like Hugel's not worth $2.5 million. Lucas Perez was third or fourth in the Liga in scoring. We sold him for $2 million. We sold Chicharito for $8 million, and Valencia immediately sold him for $10 million following that. Okay, the clubs that are around us.
Yeah, somebody just pointed that out. Fo just pointed that out. Yeah.
So we spent over the last 5 years, we spent 207 million pounds. Wolves over the last 5 years spent 223, but they weren't in the Premier League all of those years. Spurs spent a little bit less than us, but they didn't spend at all the year that they were constructing the stadium. So they spent 200 million. Obviously, the Manchester spent more than us. Fulham, who have missed several years in the last 5 years in the Premier League, have managed to spend 163 million. Everton, as you might know, have spent more than us, 230. Chelsea are at 200, but they had a transfer embargo, so that's why they haven't spent more than us. Brighton Hove Albion have spent more than us over the last 5 years, and Aston Villa's right there at 200 million.
Well, they finished ahead of us. Brighton did so.
Yeah, but a lot of these clubs are not in the top 20 richest on the Forbes list like we are. We're 18th, and we don't pay to manage our stadium. We don't pay the costs of changing the seats.
Right.
That wasn't us. That's not from our pocket.
That's the other thing. The stadium is a rental. It's a rental.
Yeah.
That's this is what I don't understand. We don't have those costs, maintenance costs, whatever they are. Spurs built, it was like $1 billion stadium or something like that Spurs built. Or some insane, incomprehensible amount of money.
It is, but you have to remember they don't lose money on that stadium. The money, the loss of money on a stadium is the building costs, but then you don't lose the money after that. You make money on it, hence you fucking making it in the first place. We have a mismanaged stadium where we don't also get all the profits. We don't do this, we don't do that. It's a bad deal. It's not. Although we don't have the overheads of most other clubs, we also don't have certain revenue streams.
We don't have the revenue of other clubs. Yeah, I understand that. So to me, there's one of three things that's happening. Either Sullivan is incompetent,
which is the truth,
or he's shady, or he's both. And I think it's a little bit of both. Now, maybe 71-30 of the other. I don't know, but I think it's a little bit of both.
If I would say this, the shadiness factor comes for me is where it's the only place I think they're shady is in the stadium deal. And the way I believe that to be shady is that he is basically fucking over the entire country. He's screwed over the government for his own purpose and his own worth. That's the shadiness for me. I look at that and I don't.
It is.
Opposition fans complain about how we pay so little for the stadium anymore because everyone knows we've been fucked with it, right? And the only person who's going to profit from this is David Sullivan and David Gold. Yes. That's the shadiest part because he's going to keep claiming fucking innocence and keep saying, no, we tend to hand it down. We're going to hand it down to our children, even though they're not going to hand it down to their children. They're going to sell it at the nearest possible opportunity where they can make the most money. But they're going to have to keep pleading that because publicly they can't say that. They just cannot come out and say, well, we're going to sell it. They can't, because then all of a sudden every government person, every person in the country who doesn't support West Ham is going to be like, right, we're coming for you now. So he can't. So he has to keep pleading. And also, if he keeps pleading that they're going to hand it down to his children, that raises the chance of them handing the stadium to him for free. Because I don't actually think that's going to happen, by the way. Like, looking into the numbers, I think there's very little chance they'll hand it to us for free. But even if they were going to do it, they're not going to do it knowing that David Sullivan's then going to flip the thing. So he has to keep bleeding that. That's shady. But like, when it comes to taking money, he's not getting money from the club. He's losing money running West Ham United. And the only reason he's doing it is because he knows in 3 years' time, he can sell it for such a huge amount of money. This is the biggest deal in his life.
Is he losing money though? Is he losing money?
How is he losing money if the net profit total of the club over the last 5 years is £52 million?
Because it goes into the club. It doesn't go into him. It doesn't go into his pockets.
But
so he shouldn't lose money is what I'm saying.
Right.
No, but think about it this way. The way he gets money is he gets money from the interest accrued via the loans that he gave to the club to get us debt-free, as they said, but really it was debt-free from banks, which again, you want to talk about shady stuff, it's just lies, but it's
not debt-free because now we owe them. The club owe them. Yeah.
That's where they get their money from.
Yeah.
I don't know this for a fact, but I think I'm doing vague maths in my head now, probably. If you add up all of the money we've paid to them over interest, that still doesn't add up to the amount of money they paid for the club in the first place. Like, they're not making money. They've lost money doing this, but the only reason why is because they know in 3 years' time, they're going to make such a huge, substantial amount of money. Because all they've got to do is wait until they don't have to pay the government a single penny. And the second they don't have to do that, they are quids in. So they can take the loss now because they're uber rich people who are worth roughly £1 billion.
I'm not convinced they're losing money. I understand the logic, Charlie, and it makes sense. What you say makes sense. I don't know. Costa, you know more about the numbers than I do. I am not convinced they're losing money because they're charging interest on the loans that they've made to the club. But even if, I mean, it kind of, what I don't get then is, okay, so they want to sell in 3 years, right? Let's say they want to sell in 2023 when they can do it tax-free. Why would they want a product with greatly diminished value? I mean, you're talking about, if we go down,
because it's not 2022 yet.
But if we go down, Charlie, we're not coming back. They have to know this.
Let me lay it out for you, because I've been thinking a lot about this. I've been thinking a lot about this recently, and like Kostya, I love me some charts and I love me some stats, and I've been going through like the LS contract recently and really trying to shout out to Ray, my bestie. Come on, Ray. I've been going through all of these contracts recently and really trying to read into it, right? Because like you say, it's really difficult to not look at it and see shady nonsense until you realize that they're just fucking idiots. And there's one, I can't say that, but so if you deeps it, David Moyes has 1 year left on his contract. He has 1 year left on his contract, right? They like to peddle this idea that they spent so much money on Pellegrini that they can't now, blah, 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 blah. And I think it was on the show earlier on. It was either Tommy or Chris who said it earlier, but I think it might have been Tommy. That's the only time they really did spend big. Every other window, they tend to scrimp and save. And then some windows, we don't even have a net spend. We have a net gain and all of this other sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So they only really spent that one window.
That's the window that we got Arnautovic and Yarmolenko, right? All them?
No. Anderson and Yarmolenko.
Anderson, yeah.
And Fabianski and Issa Diop and Ryan Fredericks.
Yeah. Arnautovic was the season before that.
Okay.
That's the one, but you were thinking of the right one, Sully.
Yeah,
you're just thinking of. He froze. I thought he was mad at us. He had that face up because his stream froze. Sully was looking like he was going to murder us all.
No, also, while I'm here, Sally, don't worry about the paybacks. Oh, he's gone.
No,
Sally,
he is mad. Look what you did.
He's going to storm with a knife. He's going to show up behind Charlie with a knife.
That's fine. I was going to say, Sally, don't worry about the
spoilers.
That
would be a really quick.
If your door opens behind you, I'm running.
Oh, wow.
Probably be
but
my mum.
You're in Massachusetts. He's in England. Why would you run?
Well,
we don't know. We don't really know where he is.
One thing that I think is very interesting talking about.
Actually, you're right. You're right. Tim is secretly in England. I had no idea.
One thing I think that's interesting is
a game in a couple.
What'll happen whenever the club does get sold to somebody else? Because I think, sorry, I'm still like glitchy. I don't know why, but
we can hear you.
when somebody else comes in and gets the club, because they're going to have lawyers and whoever else go through every dirty detail of the finances. And I think if the club is sold for money that's higher than what we think it's valued for, and that right there alone is going to say a lot in terms of like where the money's gone, what they've done with it, XYZ. But then I guess at the same time, the only thing that would bail them out is if the club is sold for less. I don't know if I'm still going out, but that was my point.
If they didn't get what they expected for it, and it turned out that it really wasn't a money making deal for them the whole time, I guess.
I mean, it's like, and this is why I'm so convinced that there isn't impropriety, is because there is so much riding on this for them. This is the biggest deal of their careers, and not only that, they have the entire country staring at them because of the Olympic Stadium. It would take a man with balls much bigger than David Sullivan's actual height to be able to pull off impropriety in a
no short jokes, please. No short jokes, please. Okay.
Listen, you've never met David Sullivan. Well, I've not met him, but I've seen David Gold, and he's taller than David Sullivan, and he was titchy, my friend.
Okay, 5'8" is the average height for an American man. I'll have you know. Thank you.
And he was significantly below that. I'll tell you that much.
Well, then I feel better. Then I feel better about the whole thing.
Oh, Lee. You are taller than both of them. I promise.
Good. That's really unusual, so I'm happy to hear. Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
So, are we going to talk about?
I have to go.
Oh man.
Okay. More words. GSB out.
All right, Tim. Hey, thanks for being on. Thanks for being on. Hopefully, Sully will come back.
Are we going to talk about that silly? I mean, Spencer Owen has like a great reputation. But he's got this guy who came on ITK secret agent.
That's crap. That's just
it's so silly.
No, man, I don't believe a word of any of that. Come on.
The thing is it comes out the same day as Diangana. And so immediately you want to say, oh, it's a plant. It's a board. They leaked it on purpose to distract from the.
No, that's just somebody trying to get clicks. That has nothing to do with the board or anybody else.
I don't think it's a weird one, that, because I don't think he needs the clicks. Spencer Rowan is an
exactly.
Everybody needs clicks, Charlie. All the time. Everybody needs clicks.
Let me put it this way: he's not going to get more clicks than he would have got because of doing that, and that's what's interesting to me. I don't believe it, but
I never paid attention to him. He got a click from me, so he might get some more clicks.
Fair, but I don't think you're his target audience, Lee. I don't know if you're a small child playing FIFA. I don't know if you're necessarily.
I wouldn't think so.
Spencer's audience, but it's just weird to me because it's such a random. He's clearly friends with this guy, because if you look at the guy's Twitter account, he only really ever speaks to Spencer, and it's only been years ago. So he's clearly friends with Spencer. I don't think it's not real, but I also don't think it's true. I think it's a case of a guy who does have sort of information, but who's extrapolating that information and running 10,000 miles with it. I think that's probably what you're getting from that.
And Charlie, he didn't say anything new. He repeated something that has already been whispered.
Yeah.
Before he spoke today in that phone call or whatever, where Spencer has him on, I had already heard American, Qatari, and maybe Arab, maybe Newcastle turns. Like I had heard that on Niza Mother Brown from someone who's well and respected. But then we had Sam Ingersoll who says, no. But then X tells you, well, Trip Smith did go to Saudi Arabia. So I need silver lining. This is what I said to Sam. I need silver lining. So I'm going to go, oh, there's smoke. Maybe there's fire. And I'm going to hold on to that till 2023. And if it's 2024 and they haven't sold, I'm going to be a whole lot of different kind of angry. But right now, I still have that hope.
It's a long way from now, man. First of all, I respect X. I think he does generally a good job of confirming when rumors are not true. Sometimes he gets things right when rumors are true. He does it all for free. He does it because he loves the club. He does love to tell us when he's right. He doesn't miss the opportunity to let us know. However, I really respect the guy. I think he's one of the best in the know guys in the game, and I rely on him. And so I'm a fan of X, and I give him my thumbs up. For me, if there's a rumor and you want to know is it true or not, you look for X. If you want to know whether something has actually happened, look for Sam Ingersoll, because he's a journalist. He's a real journalist, an actual journalist who does what journalists do. He doesn't come out with speculation. He doesn't come out and say things that aren't happening. He gets 3 sources, to confirm something before he reports it. So if you want to know, did it really happen? Sam is a person to me to look to see it. And he's not the only one, but he's the one that I know best, and he's been on the show, so we like to support him as well. But yeah, I'm with you on this video with the secret agent. I mean, come on. It's the same thing. We've been hearing this stuff about Trip Smith. We've been hearing this stuff about, an American takeover, Qatari, Saudi, whatever. It's the same garbage all the time. It's just like when you're talking about players, you don't believe they're signed until they're holding the shirt. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things where it's like, and I think it's just good practice when you're talking about anything reported, is like thinking about it in terms of like, okay, if it's X or if it's Sam or if it's anyone else, the guy Spencer knows, whoever it is, it doesn't really make a difference. Yeah. They're only telling you what their source knows. Right. And unless your source is David Sullivan,
you don't know.
They don't know everything, right? So, for example, I could tell you, like a couple of years ago, I was looking into something when I was looking to write and do stuff like that. The guys, one of the people who basically owns the Shard, the building in London, is a West Ham fan. That person is also, the Shard is also partly owned by the Qataris, and the Qataris obviously own a hell of a lot of the Olympic Park. You can put two and two together and say they could be brokering a deal to try and get West Ham because he's a West Ham fan. It makes sense. You put the numbers together, it makes sense. Right. But again, that's only from like, if I put that out into the world, which I decided against because it's just a lot of conjecture and not much substance there. Right. But it's like, you still go, okay, well, you can see where the pieces are, but you don't see like the full mechanics of the beast because you can't. And so it's like with this guy, again, the reason I believe it to an extent, I believe that there's interest because, like you say, Kostya, it's nothing.
There you go. There it is. There's your Shard.
There's a Shard. I also know a friend. I also have a friend who works there. So if you go there and you meet a Sam, he's a nice bloke. Tell him hi from me.
Anybody named Sam knows you.
Well, listen, I'm a known guy.
So you're saying all English guys named Sam know you? Is that what I heard?
Sam Ingersoll, he'll know me. I bet you any money. Don't ask him because that will prove me wrong. But he'll know me. A guy who called Sam works at the shop. But like. So like with the Spencer Owen guy, he probably knows someone who's told him something and he's extrapolated out from there. In the same way that one of X's sources or one of Sam Ingersoll's sources will say the exact same thing. Right. You just have to look at it and you say, okay, you need to put the pieces together and figure out what you believe and what you don't. So it's like, I believe there's smoke. There's no smoke without fire. I do believe something is there, but I certainly don't believe that it's anywhere close to what he's saying, which was the exact words on the Spencer Owen stream was 100% by the end of this year. And I'm like, not happening.
No way. Look, we know what the tax deal is. It's 2023. Yeah. Everybody knows this.
I think that do you guys remember when Manchester City was bought and they immediately bought Robinho as soon as it was announced, and that was like the first gift to Man City, and it was very exciting. I remember being like a West Ham fan and being like, shit, why can't that be us? And I was like 16, I think. And I was.
You'll be asking that for the rest of your life.
No, I refuse to believe that. Don't say that. But what was it? What do you do?
Fortune's always hiding. Kostya, it's fortune's always hiding, not fortune sometimes hides.
Yeah, well, I could see it being that they agreed to the purchase in 2022, work out all the numbers in 2022. And then as soon as January 1st, 2023 hits, they announce the sale and they funnel some cash in for the January window to save us from relegation once again.
Listen, this is a question I have right now. We talked about this last week, but, circumstances have changed. Diangana's gone. Let's just talk about the squad for a minute, while we have a few more minutes. Diangana's gone. If we bring in Ben Rama, and presumably some sort of left back, I guess. I mean, do we stay up?
We have to get a left back. Like if we go into the season with Cresswell and Masuaku,
we're 10 days away.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean, it's the most depressing thought. I've been trying to talk myself into a 5 at the back with Cresswell as left center back and Masuaku at left wing back, and they sort of like together with their powers combined form one left back. I think Anderson is worse when he has Cresswell behind him because Masuaku keeps up with him and does the tricky little tricks with the flipping and all that. But Cresswell tries to bomb forward but doesn't have the speed, so that Anderson feels obligated to track back, and he hates doing that, and that's why he's moping about and not trying. And so
Masuaku can't defend though. Masuaku's not a defender. It's a pretty good left wing, but he's not a defender.
But maybe Stuart Pearce has been working intensively with him one-on-one for the last month. There's hope. No, there isn't. There isn't. That's the problem, and that's why we need to buy a left back right away. And it's ridiculous.
Listen, there's you can't teach the guys think. Listen, how old is Masuaku? He's in his 20s, right?
27, turning 27.
Right. You're not going to teach him to defend. He's a professional footballer. He does what he does. He's been playing probably since he was 5. He's in his late 20s. He's not a 17-year-old. You're not going to teach him how to play the game. He is who he is, and that's what you get with him. And we taught a right mid how to play striker, and it worked pretty well for the last. Yeah, I know, but that's not. It worked. It worked with that with Arnautovic, and it's worked with Antonio too. But I don't think that's that big of a leap. You know what I mean? That's kind of like to me, and let me know if I'm wrong. I'm thinking that's something along the lines of Spanish to Portuguese. You're in the Romance languages. You know what I mean? With Masuaku, I feel as though you're trying to teach a guy who speaks Greek to speak like I don't know, Swahili or something. It's just not. There's no. There's the alphabets are different. Everything's different. It's not going to work. And we've seen, because he's been a left back for a long time now, and he's never been any good at being a left back. He's pretty good going forward. Yeah. Sometimes he's very good, but
and maybe Moyes is thinking that. That's the other thing. I'm hoping Moyes is like, you know what? I've sold Diangana, so now Masuaku's my backup left mid, and so now I've got Cresswell as a backup to the guy I'm going to sign now. That I'm okay with. I'm fine with Cresswell as the backup left back, but please, for the love of God, not starting left back, because that'll just put me in a mood from the beginning.
I think Moyes knows we have to have another left back. I mean, listen, the fans can't all be wrong at once. We all watch the team play. We see how we know what's going on. I don't think we're the only ones who have said it. I think you'd see a lot of experts talking about how we need a left back. I think everybody knows this. It's not a big secret. To me, but the question is, if you bring in a left back, and now you're, now in left mid, you've got, Anderson potentially, who I thought was done with us last season. We've stuck Fornals over there. Those really more of a number 10. I guess you could play Bowen on the left, theoretically. Even Antonio can play on the left. But the point is this squad with a left back? Does this squad stay up? We just finished 16th with some injury problems.
Great left back, yeah. And Charlie, I kind of want to know, Charlie, who do you want us to buy for left back? Is it the Ukrainian Michaelenko? Is it Ryan Manning from QPR, or is it someone else?
Literally anyone. I like. So I don't know enough about the Ukrainian kid. I like the idea of him though, because he can also play left centre back, which means that he has at least some defensive knowledge about him, because you're not going to put someone at the centre back if they can't defend, quite frankly. So I quite like that idea. I think Rico Henry is my favourite from the Championship. It was Joe Bryan, but obviously he's come up, so that is what it is. So Rico Henry is my favourite Championship. Realistically, though, I want us to buy someone I don't know, which is partly in my back of my head why I like this Michaelenko guy. Although I would like to say I do know him, because I bought him on PES 6 months ago, and he's very good. Thank you very much. But I want to see us have, but what I want is not what we're going to get, and that's because I want us to have a scouting network who can go and find someone who isn't that expensive, but can step up to the plate in a similar way to other players we've done in the past, but not in the recent past, because we've had an idiot owner. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, my gut probably says my first choice would probably be the Michaelenko guy. I think he'd be the cheapest wage-wise. And my one thing about Rico Henry is, as much as I like him, his defensive qualities don't fill me with exceptional passion. I think he's fine, but I don't think he's he's not a stalwart defender. He's not Gary Neville. So, but if we got him, I wouldn't kick up a fuss.
What do you think about the David Sullivan option, which is you sign Nathaniel Klein on a free for right back and ask Ben Johnson to move to left back?
I hate the idea of Ben Johnson playing at left back. I
do
can't
too, actually.
That's the cheapest scenario I could think of, where both positions are.
It's the most David Sullivan scenario as well.
Because there's also Antonio Valencia, who's 38 now. He's on a free as well.
I mean, I'd rather Antonio Valencia than I would Nathaniel Klein, but that's a different
story. Oh, I'm the other way. Interesting.
Oh, but Antonio Valencia, mate, he's a lovely man. Here's the thing.
He's 38. It's another Zabaleta. You can't really.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I love Zabaleta too. Zabaleta was a lovely man. I love Zabaleta, but he just too old.
I would go as far as to say he is a lovely man. Probably. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a couple of months, but I suspect he's still all right. Yeah, no, I don't like the idea of playing Johnson at left back at all. He's only played there 5 times in his entire career, including youth football. This idea of he can play there was because he did once against Manchester City, and he's never done it again since. It doesn't fill me. I don't want to shove a kid there who, again, is not even left-footed for a start, which I don't mind footedness really anywhere else, but right and left back have to sort of be right-footed and left-footed. It's kind of counterintuitive if they're not. The only right-footed left back I'll accept is James Milner. What a man! But yeah, no, I don't like the idea of playing. I don't like the idea of playing Ben Johnson there. But that is, I do think you're starting to hit the nail on the head, though, Kostya, because I do suspect the answer will be a free transfer, and it'll be someone who's a bit too old, and the wages will be very high. And then next summer on Claret Hugh, we'll get an article that says, "Oh, we can't do anything because the wages of the player we signed last year are so high."
Dude, Claret Hugh, I don't even get started on those guys. I mean, absolute Pravda, just total, total propaganda for the regime. It's astonishing. I would make a Fox News joke, but I don't talk about politics on the show. So, but yeah, just total. I mean, it's embarrassing. Anyway, that's a side note.
It's embarrassing because they admit it as well. That's the thing about them. I don't understand. Hugh won't. Hugh will threaten to sue you. Hugh will be like, "I'm going to sue you," but Sean will happily
sue
admit
me, Hugh.
And it's wild to me. And it's wild to me that Sean admits it.
Yeah,
but is what it is.
Yeah, I don't love Johnson at left back either. I feel the same way you do. I mean, I think keep guys in their ideal spots, and as you said, when you talk about fullbacks, it matters which foot they use, sort of primarily. I feel the same way. I think I think to me what keeps us up this season is 2 things. Some consistency in having Moyes as manager, and I know I don't like him, Charlie, and I don't love him either, but I think he's a safe choice who can keep us safe. And the other thing is we have to stay healthy. It's just health. It's just, can we avoid the here we go into Newcastle in 10 days, and we're talking about Declan Rice won't be there. We're talking about Diop won't be there. We know Snodgrass won't be there. I think there was another on the injured list. I mean, if we'd had a whole season of Yarmolenko, who is slow, but he's a good goal scorer last season, I think it's a different season. Obviously, the biggest injury was Fabianski, but if we just had reasonable health, like most other clubs, I think we're a mid-table club.
I think when you look at our starting 11, there are obvious holes, being the fullbacks. But I do think it's actually not a bad starting 11. I think it's actually pretty decent. I think it's probably a top half starting 11 if we're being honest.
Last season thought it was.
If we had a left back.
Right. If we had a left back, and I would make an argument for if we had a right back as well, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice to see Johnson progress and grow to see if he can make it to the level. That's like something I'm willing to make a sacrifice, whereas Masuaku and Cresswell are not going to get any better. So you sort of need to sort that problem out. But it's the thing I would say is that the thing about us staying up is it relies on David Moyes pulling something out of the hat. Because I think David Moyes can both save us, and I think he can also get us relegated. I still don't particularly rate him that highly.
I don't either.
There's been a couple of times this season where he's almost made me believe that he might not be the worst manager we've ever had. Before he does something that reminds me why I think that. But
Avram Grant, Charlie, come on, Avram Grant. There's always
David Moyes has a worse winning record than him.
Glenn Roeder, Avram Grant, Lou Macari. Come on, I knew he was a worse record, but here's the thing. Winning percentage isn't all that. I mean, all that stuff's important, but Pellegrini was taking us down. He was.
I disagree. I disagree, but
I think he was.
But it's a hypothetical that we can have a discussion.
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
We can
right.
never.
I just want to me, the thing I like about Moyes is I realize he had a total nightmare at Sunderland, but then that whole club has really fallen apart. He did have a good track record at Everton for a long time with a club that's pretty similar to ours. Better run probably because almost every club is better run, but it's a similar profile club to me. I don't love him, but he's come in under duress twice. He's kept us up twice. I think he's the kind of manager who can keep us safe. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
but I don't. I think he knows how to manage with a modest budget. And he's now worked for the owners under two different scenarios. And if he doesn't walk over the Diangana sale, which I wouldn't blame him if he did, if he was against it and they sold him out from under him, I wouldn't blame him for doing anything. If he doesn't walk over that, I think he's one of the few managers who could actually give us some level of stability. Remember, the best manager we've had, you could make an argument for Alan Pardew, and I would listen to it. But in terms of keeping us a stable club, the best manager we've had since Harry Redknapp was Sam Allardyce.
Costy is angry.
The best manager we've had since Harry Redknapp.
I heard that.
No, it's true. No, I hated Sam when he was here. Okay, I hated Sam when he cupped his ear after Hull.
No, I think Costy is angry about Pardew.
Yeah, no, Sam Allardyce is much better than Alan Pardew.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Okay, I'm with you because I know Pardew.
I thought you were implying that Alan Pardew was like one of our, if not our best manager, which I thought was a little outrageous.
Well, listen, since Harry Redknapp, there aren't that many good choices. Okay, let's be honest.
Oh well, if you start with Harry Redknapp,
yeah, I'm starting with. I'm not starting with. No. I'm talking about since Harry, not John Lyle, not Ron Greenwood. No. I'm not Billy Bonds. I'm talking about since Redknapp. All right, so the last, let's say, 25 or so years. I basically, because Pardew had us in the FA Cup final, but then even with Tevez and Mascherano, we were dying. You remember the Great Escape, right? He got sacked. Kerbishley, of all people, comes in, and Tevez starts scoring goals, and we stay up, right? With this tremendous finish, stay up by the skin of our teeth. To me, Allardyce, for me, the best manager we've had since Harry Redknapp in terms of stability was Allardyce.
I agree with that.
I didn't like him. I didn't like his style.
He's
but I knew
the only manager who's been allowed to be in control of the club.
That's true too. And Moyes is certainly not in that situation now, apparently, because we just sold Diangana out from under him.
Ironically, Sam Allardyce has always had shady links with certain agents as well.
You want to talk about shady?
He got booted from.
That it's some kind of coincidence that the only manager who's had a lot of say is the guy with this shady agent links, but at the same time, Modibo Maiga was bought, without his knowledge and showed up at training one day.
Yes. So was like, here's a gift for you.
Power either. But I want to give a quick shout out to the manager that I've always had a soft spot for, my Gianfranco Zola.
I agree.
It's underrated and
I'm with you.
had a very shit team to manage, and if you had given him Pellegrini's team, I think it'd be a different story.
Totally agree with you. I Zola's first season, we were good. We had a good. We performed well. The squad was not great. Those players loved him. Yes. They loved him, and to this day they'll tell you how much they loved him. Jack Collison was on somebody's YouTube show today talking about how much he loved him. Jack Collison has told us how much he loved him. We've heard this from all sorts of players who played for Zola. I know his second season, we stayed up on 35 points. It was, again, by the skin of our teeth. But that's what West Ham, that's what we do, right? That team was not good.
No, he was starting Diego Tristan.
That's what I'm saying.
This Radislav Kovac.
Right, a bunch of 35-year-old strikers and midfielders getting cycled through. That team was Scott Parker, keeping us up. Carlton Cole playing with his back to goal, and I love Carlton Cole. I do.
Ginge was in the side. Right. Linda at left back.
Birami, I think, was in that team, if I'm not mistaken. But we had Julian Faubert, who fell asleep on the touchline at Real Madrid.
I love that guy. Julian Faubert says he had the time of his life here, and he checks up on us.
But I mean, everybody loves us after they leave. Alessandro Diamante said he loved us. Everybody.
Another Zola player, Diamante.
Diamante was a good player. Should have kept him.
Should have stayed. Yep.
But what I'm saying is that was not that team in terms of talent was way, way behind what we had this past season. I mean, way behind, I think, anyway. Way behind. And the results were eerily similar, I didn't think Zola was a bad manager at all. I think Zola had us playing attacking football. I don't think the board supported him. And we never, again, even that season we stayed up on 35 points, we were safe by like 5 points. Nobody remembers that. We were safe with several weeks to play.
Was it Zola when we went to the FA Cup quarterfinals? Or no, excuse me. It was the Carling Cup quarterfinals, and we beat Manchester United 4-1 in the snow. Was that Zola?
4-0.
Was that Zola? It might have been. I think it was.
I think it was his first year.
Was that when Spectre scored the brace?
Yes.
Or maybe it was. Shoot.
I remember Spectre. That's another guy. That's another guy who was frequently in our starting 11, by the way. Yeah.
Cole had a brace.
Sorry. Cole had it. Jonathan Spectre. All right. American. We love him. The dude got a lot of minutes for West Ham back in those days. I think we can all agree he wasn't like a Premier League level player.
I think he was, but then again, I hate Mikel Antonio, so what do I know about anything? You know what I mean? Zola as well, fun fact, of course, is the second worst manager we've ever had statistically. So there you go. After David Moyes.
I realize that, and I see the win percentages and everything else. But what I'm saying is,
I love Zola. I think he's brilliant. I do think what I say to your point, Lee. I think Sam Allardyce is the best manager we've had since Redknapp. I agree with you there. But I also think that he took us as far as he ever could.
I agree. Totally.
I don't think if you give Allardyce 100
as far as he can never take anybody. He'll never take anybody further than that.
Yeah, I don't think he can get any further than that. But I do agree with you. So I do agree with that. It's with Moyes. It's one of those things where it's like, how do I word this? I recorded a long video about this that I never ended up uploading because I rewatched it and I just realized I was waffling and chatting absolute shit. So now I'm doing it live.
I do that once a week right here.
Well, yeah, yes, very fair.
I wouldn't worry about that.
We all are craving stability because of the insanity and chaos around us.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just include the club, that includes the fucking world as well. But let's just stick to the microcosm of West Ham United for a second.
Sure. Yep, totally.
We're all craving that like stability. I don't know if David Moyes brings that stability at all. And I think actually today proves that to an extent. If he
That's not his fault though. That's not his fault.
I totally agree with you. I do genuinely totally agree with you. I don't blame him for today. I think he should have had more gut. Okay, I can't say he should have more guts to say no because
he's a yes man. He's a yes man.
Yeah, I don't know if he did say no because he might have. So I don't want to criticize him.
I don't either.
He did.
No, we don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I think that proves, and it's like the difference between Redknapp and everyone who came after him is everyone who came after him had significantly less control of transfers than Sam Allardyce did, and so it was a situation where you have that many people able to we'll get a player here, we'll get a player there. But the vast majority of players are David Sullivan and his agent Bezzy Mates getting these random people in.
Yeah.
So it's like as much as we want the stability and it's nice to have an idea of that we have a manager who will build defense first and come up with a more structured sort of solid formation to go forward with. He's still going to have to be working with the fucking disparate parts that have been amassed over the last decade, and
it's not his team,
and it's never going to be his team, and that's kind of the problem. So he's
accepted that. He's accepted that to get back into the good graces of the football world and to be seen as it because his reputation after Everton was tarnished through the different problems he had at
Manchester United,
Man U,
the
Sunderland,
the poison challenge,
Real Sociedad. All those things make him look bad. And if the man had retired early, let's say right after Everton, he'd be like, "Oh, David Moyes was that incredible manager that kept Everton in sixth place for like 8-9 years straight."
Absolutely,
and that would be it. That's all. And we'd be like, "Oh, we'd be lucky to have that guy. Can we get that guy out of retirement?" Like, imagine he took a 6-7 year sabbatical and then we hired him. oh, everyone would be like going nuts. It's that little, blip of time in his resume that screws him up. But I also think he's learned a lot of lessons from that experience, those experiences. And that's why I almost have a soft spot for him, because I'm like, this man is trying to save his career, and he's trying to do it with my club, and he's going to stay no matter what. This guy is not going to walk out because we sold Diangana. I don't think he'll walk out if we sell Rice. And I think he's a committed individual, and he wants to restore his legacy as much as he can. And he sees West Ham as the best opportunity to do that. So he will accept forcing a Diangana, transfer through if it means maybe buying a left back. I think he's 50-50 on the transfer. I feel like he's like, well, I don't really want to do it, but they're not giving me any money, and I can't sell Lanzini. Turkey's not biting. I sent Felipe on vacation to Rome, and he didn't come back with the club. Window. So I have to sell it. I have to sell a kid.
Yep. No, I think you're right, Kostya, and I think that's. I mean, listen, everybody wants West Ham to be ambitious, and I do too. But we know right now we're not going to be ambitious. We don't have ambitious owners. We don't have the money to be ambitious. We don't have the leadership to be ambitious. We just need right now to be a Premier League club. I'm sorry, but we.
I don't believe he. I'm not confident he keeps us there.
Well, you may be right.
The thing is, and I do think, and part of me, like when you talk about these things, both of you, and I listen to both of you speak on other shows, and everyone else on the American Hammers Network,
Thanks,
which of course you should subscribe to below. I listen to, and I hear you talking about it, and I do sort of get that sense of like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Not cabin fever. Stockholm syndrome. I do get a bit of Stockholm syndrome about it, where I'm like,
yeah, no, I think that's fair. Yeah, I do.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. He is here, and he's not going to leave. And my brain goes, well, that's because he literally no one else will hire him. But I'm like, yeah, he is here. It's like I sort of have no. It doesn't really matter what I say, and this is partly why I got rid of my season ticket, because I got rid of my season ticket months ago, and like I deleted my West Ham Twitter account a week ago or whatever, and it's because like it doesn't really matter what the fuck I say. Like the shit's still gonna hit the fan. Like it is what it is. Like life just is. But it's like I don't know. He's showed me nothing to prove that he can do it. But we'll see what happens, I guess. Like,
see, I think the way we performed when he came 2 seasons ago, I think the way we performed after the restart, especially the last 7 games. I mean, listen, it wasn't electric, but it wasn't bad. Yeah. That win over Chelsea was massive, and I don't know how much credit to give the manager for that. We had a lot of healthy players back who'd been injured. That made a big difference. We had Yarmolenko back, who goes and scores the winning goal. We had Antonio come out and he was on fire. I don't know how much credit Moyes deserves for that, but I think the Arnautovic season, when Arnautovic basically kept us up, and this past season, if you look at how we performed. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great, but it was better than where we had been previously, I think. And the restart, I thought he handled the last 9 games pretty well, considering it could have been a disaster. It could have been like Leicester or Palace or almost Villa. It could have been like Watford. We could have gone from. We could have collapsed after a weird, unprecedented, scenario, and we got what 11 points out of the last 9 games, a pretty good run by West Ham standards. So I don't see. I mean, again, I don't think the guy takes us to anything like the next level. But if you want somebody who I think can get us into 13th, 14th, something like that this season and keep us safe, I think he can do it. You may be right. Over the course of a season, he may not be able to do that. But you know what?
Don't get me wrong. I really fucking hope you're right. Don't get me
I
wrong.
do too. Yeah. I could be wrong. But the thing is, Slav, Pellegrini, they weren't making it. To me, and I think Pellegrini can't work without expensive, high-profile players.
Absolutely.
Even his Malaga teams. Go back and look at who was on those teams. Santi Cazorla was on those teams. Isco was on those teams.
He had incredible teams, and I think that's part of why he lost motivation.
Fair play. Yeah,
I think he lost motivation because he realized, this team this board is playing around. Pellegrini did not do his homework on the board, and so we had a good first season under him, and when this has happened with marquee players from us too, by the way, that we sign them, we tell them, we're going to buy more players to go around you. We don't do it, and then they piss off. and they leave, and we sell them for half of what we bought them for. You know who I'm talking about. There's a couple of them. It's happening with Felipe Anderson right now. Felipe Anderson had a great first season, and then you fire the guy who brought him here, and you ask him to play left back because there's nobody back there. Like, you know,
and he's pissed off, and I get that. I don't like when professional footballers who make 80, 90,000 pounds a week get pissed off and get stroppy, frankly. But I understand how they feel. I understand how Allaire feels. I do. I get it. Kostya's gone. Kostya told me in the private chat here that he has to teach a bunch of 10-year-olds via Zoom at 9:00 tomorrow morning, and that does not sound. Oh, here he is. He's back. I was just saying. No, I was just saying.
I don't know what happened.
I was just saying that we're going to wrap up here soon because you're teaching a bunch of 10-year-olds tomorrow morning on Zoom. Is that right?
Yep. I'm a 5th grade teacher, and it's there. We have little intermittent breaks, but it's almost 6 hours straight.
My boys are starting middle of September. It's a masses of mass right now.
I feel like I remember we started in late August in mass. Did they push it for COVID?
They pushed it because the teachers' unions have not agreed to the deal yet. That's why.
Oh wow!
They pushed it. It's more than I want to get into here, but the very short answer is, at least in Chelmsford where I live, and I think most towns are like this. There's a hybrid model. Teachers do not want to go back into the school building hours a day every day and teach and put themselves at risk. So they have not agreed to the hybrid model. We're doing. There is an all remote model too, and that's what we're doing.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, we're doing that with our boys. My mom lives with us. She's high risk. Even I'm high risk. I have asthma. I'm 46. I'm not. If I got this, it'd be a real problem for me. So, anyway,
it could be worse. She could be like the teachers in my family who we don't have a hybrid model when we don't have the Zoom. They just started work today in a school, so it is what it is. You know what I mean? Who cares about protecting?
But you don't have. What are we at? 1,500 deaths.
We are, Charlie. I mean,
don't get me wrong. It is significant.
It is out of control in this country.
You guys have like 20, so
even listen in mass, we're
those
down to
20. God bless them, but. It's not
right, of course, but it's out of control. The reason it's starting so late is because it took the town quite a long time to get a plan together, and then the teachers' unions never approved it. By law, school has to start something like September 16th, and so I think it's starting September 16th. Every town here is different, but I know that around where we are, that's the way most places are. City of Boston is going all remote, at least at the beginning. So it's a big mess. But anyway, I know you got to get up and do that.
Yes, sir.
I could probably go on with Charlie for about another 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably both of you, of course, but Costa, I know you got to go. But yeah, listen. I mean, thanks for this. Has been like a therapy session for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
The more I do these shows, the more I enjoy them because I enjoy the people I get to talk to. But I also enjoy commiserating with people who are also suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going to group therapy.
We're like those orphans in Lemony Snicket. We're being abused, but we have each other.
Right.
So
we're Jim Carrey soon. Is that what that ends up?
We're like
another one. They did one with what's his name? The gay guy from How I Met Your Mother.
Dookie Howser. Yeah.
No. Oh yeah. Dookie Howser. Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris.
There you go.
NPH. Yeah. Whose cameos in the Harold and Kumar movies are? I mean,
Jim Carrey was the movie, and then they made a show of it, and neither of them was as good as the books.
Yeah. We're like Oliver Twist. Please, Governor, may I have $2 million for a left back? Please, Governor, may I have some more gruel? Yeah, it's my wife has a friend who lived in England for like 15 years, and she and her husband, they're both American, but they just moved back over after like 15 years, and their son is 11, and he's a friend of my boys, but he was raised in an English school, and he's a little English boy, and he's only lived here for a few months, and he's got this little Oliver Twist accent, and he's like the only child. He's kind of lonely, and he doesn't know many people, so he's like a little orphan,
A good thing he's doing online learning, so he doesn't get teased.
No, he's at a small private school where they're in person, where there's like 5 kids in the class and they're in person. Yeah, it's a tiny school. My boys go to public school, so but Zach, he could not listen. They don't have a permanent home yet. They're still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were living with friends, and they couldn't throw him in the deep end of like 3 different schools in a year. So anyway, they send him to private, so he can go up and say, "Please, governor, may I have some more gruel? Please, governor." Yeah. Anyway, he's a sweet kid, but it is funny that he reminds me of that. Anyway, Kosty's got to deal with a bunch of 10-year-olds. Charlie has to watch a lot of WWE videos from the 80s. Maybe work in some Von Erichs tonight.
You know what I mean?
Do you get the show Glow over there? And I'm talking about the Netflix show.
The Netflix show, yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah,
it's fantastic. I loved it.
My mum out of nowhere got super into it when she could not care less about wrestling to save her life, and she was for some reason she clicked on it once and she was like, "Charlie, this show Glow, it's amazing. Have you seen it?" And I was like, "Yeah,
my wife watches it with me, and we almost never watch anything together because we don't really have the same taste. But we watch, but it's hard for us to find things to watch together. Yeah. But she loves Glow, so yeah, we love Glow. So I was hoping you had seen it. I think there's a new season supposed to come out not too long from now. But anyway, I'm not gonna. This show usually runs almost 2 hours because I never shut up. But I think tonight I'm gonna shut up and let us all go to bed. So, who was on tonight? Tim was on tonight. Sally was on tonight. Ray was on.
Ray.
So who else was there? Somebody else I'm missing?
No,
I think that was it. So thanks
the ghost of Ron Greenwood was on.
The ghost of Ron Greenwood is always with us. By the way, he used the word soccer in a famous quote. Do you know that, right? He didn't call it football; he called it soccer.
Oh, that explains a lot about him.
This is true. I'm not making this up. You could go out and find it. Anyway, so thanks for all those guys. Thanks for all those guys for being on. Everybody in the chat room. Somebody's still watching this, which is incredible.
That's unbelievable.
There's still the number. There's still 8 people watching, or they've fallen asleep, or they're like, they've got something more intriguing going in the other tab.
They left the computer on just like you leave the stove on, and they just forgot
exactly.
Their home's not going to explode. So
they're knee deep in some of David Sullivan's early productions by now. But everybody in the chat room and everybody around the world who watched this, thanks for watching. And you guys, Kostya and Charlie, thanks for being on. Hey, Charlie, thanks for coming on at the last minute. I literally messaged Charlie at like 9:00 Eastern. I was like, come on, let's be on, let's do it. And, he jumped on, not because he has nothing better to do.
Listen, I've got lots of things to do.
No, not because he's up in the.
It's technically still on. I haven't turned it off.
That's what I'm saying. Not because he's a lonely bachelor in the middle of the night in England. That's
Charlie,
not why.
Quick, you're just a PES player. You don't play FIFA.
I don't play FIFA. No.
Yeah, I think I'm finally quitting FIFA.
I've heard the latest one sucks.
It makes me so angry.
I haven't played it in like 10 years. I had like FIFA 10 or something. But
FIFA, my favorite FIFA is FIFA 04.
Oh, yes, Kostya.
It was lovely. on the Nintendo GameCube.
Well, we had a Wii.
I miss it.
We had a Wii for years.
Then. I was actually good then. Now I'm shit. All the 12-year-olds just absolutely crushed me on Ultimate Team. So
we had a Wii for a long time that a friend gave us, and then we got rid of it. Yeah. We gave it to some Romanian orphans, and I'm not joking about that. We really did give it to Romanian orphans. And then, but I have to say now, I know Isaac doesn't watch this. So the same friend who bought us the Wii has bought my son a PlayStation for his birthday, which is which is later this month. It's an extremely generous gift. So I may or may not be back on FIFA or PES or whatever it is. We'll see. Mario Kart I was into Mario Kart. All right.
Yes.
And my wife would play it with me too. So we'll see. Maybe we may get back into that. I don't know. But anyway.
All right. Wow.
Yes. Tom says, who is that?
I love the way he's just randomly rolled up. He had the word FIFA and he's come in like a meerkat.
He has like a radar out for it. He has a notification on his phone every time somebody says it. I don't even know what. What?
It means he's just donated a super chat to tell me to go to bed.
How did he turn that blue?
It's a super. So there's a thing on YouTube called Super Chat where you can pay money to make the comments. So the money is yours now, bro. You've just
that's like $4. Hey, thanks, Tom. That's awesome, man. That's cool. I'm gonna put it toward my next purchase of West Ham gear. so I can support the board. Anyway. I never buy West Ham gear from the board. It's all bootlegged. It's all from China. Okay, that's all. This is all the stuff from China. Anyway, thank you guys for being on. Thanks for the chat room, everybody, and we'll do it again next week. And until then, come on, you Irons.